Hi, it's Maggie the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your January 2020 general reading, first general reading for a brand new year. We are looking at the first half of January from the 1st through the 15th, and this reading is for the fire sign of Aries. Our Rams. So this is for Aries Sun, Moon, Rising, if your Venus is in Aries, or if you are cross-watching for an Aries as well. But as many of you know, general readings always play out a little differently for everyone watching because there's so many of you watching. So if you know all of your signs, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, watch them because it can be helpful in providing additional clarification. So welcome everyone. Welcome to a new year. Welcome to people who might be with us for the first time. And welcome back followers and subscribers. And thank you for all that you do, your support, feedback, comments, likes, shares, and subscribes. Always welcome and appreciated. Thank you. And if any of you are interested in reaching out for a personal one-on-one reading, just click on the description link below for more info and contact details. You can email me at maggie_McGuire@gmail.com. That link is provided below as well by clicking. And I can usually respond to your initial inquiry with more information within the same day or the first 24 hours. I do offer a wide variety of readings in all the main areas of life for you, and they also make lovely gifts for friends, family, and loved ones as well. And as we are beginning a new year, something you may want to keep in mind for those of you who are interested in a personal reading are the 6 and 12-month overviews that I do, which take a look at what's coming in your life over the next 6 or 12 months, which you can order at any time of the year, but they are particularly popular this time of the year as we are starting a brand new year, so something to keep in mind. All right, let's move right into this reading. Aries, let's see what the first half of January 2020 has in store for you. All right, Aries, we begin with the Page of Swords, followed by the Lovers, the Knight of Wands, followed by Judgment. And from the bottom of the deck, your overall energy for the first half of January 2020 is the Devil. Why the Devil, Aries? So your overall general energy for the first half of January is the Devil, which can be a few different things. It's fundamentally instability or imbalance, which means that there's too much in one area to the detriment of another area or other areas. This can represent addictions, drugs, alcohol, gambling, sex, work, shopping, etc., negative toxic relationships, obsessiveness, neediness, compulsiveness, being chained or enslaved to something, which could be an actual substance, a person, a belief system, or a way of behaving as well, because it can represent temptations or vices, you know, the things that perhaps we return to or seek out, particularly when, you know, times are difficult. It often represents a cycle that we're in. If not an actual thing or a substance, it can represent a cycle that we're in that we keep returning to over and over and over again, which is the nature of cycles that needs to be broken because the implication with the Devil is that it is unhealthy. And it looks like for many of you, this is about a pretty significant, pretty passionate relationship or someone that you feel very passionately connected to. We have the Page of Swords and the Lovers. The Page of Swords is just starting out. This can be a young person or a child, messages, messengers. Swords is air energy. That's the element which governs the suit. This is all mental thought energy. Pages. This page, the Page of Swords, he's the page of information, the deliverer of information. Well, not the deliverer, he's the messenger of information, but he's also at the beginning of learning as well. Pages have that kind of useful student apprenticeship energy to them, even if they represent older people. You know, someone who's at the introductory path of something. They've done some learning, some studying, but they're just at the beginning of putting it into practical application in life and in their world. So this is what to do with the information that they have learned, and it can also be, it can also represent not knowing what to do, because swords not only is about our belief systems and perspectives and how we look at things, which decides how we relate and communicate, but swords can also represent higher education, learning, wisdom, truth, insight, the higher path, higher ideals. So the Page of Swords can sometimes represent being in perhaps a moral or ethical dilemma where you're not quite sure what to do, you're not quite sure what the right thing is to do, you're not quite sure how to perhaps speak a truth. And perhaps some of you are just, in regards to a relationship, regardless of how old you are, perhaps some of you are in a position in life, in a particular relationship, where you're unsure of how to communicate with your person in the best way possible. Because the Page of Swords knows his own mind and has done a lot of perhaps studying and reading about things, ideas, communication, but he's not quite sure how to actually get it from his head, out his mouth, and to another person. And the clarifying card is the Lovers, this pretty significant, passionate relationship, someone you feel very passionate about. You know, perhaps a soulmate or kindred spirit energetic connection. It doesn't have to be love and romance, but with the Lovers it often is. The Lovers can also represent needing to make a significant choice that is either about a relationship and or that will affect a primary significant relationship with someone that you feel very strongly about, very passionately about. In the early tarot decks, this was not called the Lovers, this was called the Choice. So which can represent Aries. I'm kind of channeling the feelings and trying to verbalize them myself. Maybe I'm channeling too much of this Page of Swords energy, how to get this out. So there's a situation here, a relationship for many of you. It looks like there's a decision that needs to be made, communication and a conversation that needs to be had or continued or resolved, but you're unsure how to do it. You may know what you want to say and what you want to feel, but have difficulty in verbally expressing it with this person, particularly because it's someone you feel so strongly about. There's a lot of instability here with the Devil, and the Devil can represent, you know, this doesn't typically show up when it's something brand new. The Devil usually represents something that we return to over and over again that is unhealthy for us. So it could be in relationships, perhaps you have a history, a relationship history that is not that great, and you've learned how to deal with relationships in a certain way. And even though it's not the healthiest way for you or for the person that you're involved in, the temptation to return to that when there's a difficulty or pressure or some significant decision here that needs to be made, you're tempted perhaps to go back into a behavior pattern that you're used to doing. Maybe you're a runner. Maybe when things get too heavy in a relationship or issues come up, maybe you have a certain way of dealing with it or avoiding dealing with it that you're struggling with right now, and also struggling in the midst of this of how to talk about it in an open and sincere way. Now, next to that, we have the Knight of Wands and Judgment. So knights are known for coming in, delivering what they need to deliver, accomplishing their mission and quest, and then going right back out again, because that was the nature of knights in the medieval world. Out of all four of the knights, the Knight of Wands is the fastest because he's the Knight of Wands, which is governed by the element of fire. Very passionate, very exciting energy, very fast-moving, aggressive, assertive energy. Sometimes rushes ahead a bit too fast. I really feel like, for those of you from whom I'm reading this for a love and romance relationship, I feel like this is somebody you feel very, very strongly about. So the Knight of Wands, knights are the bringers, the deliverers. So they're the bringers. They bring something, they deliver something, they accomplish a mission and quest. They're known for bringing the opportunity for change. Whatever it is they're bringing, it represents an opportunity for change. I say opportunity because we always live in a free will zone. You can choose to take the opportunity or deliver the opportunity or not. So what clarifies the Knight of Wands is Judgment. Major Arcana card, pretty significant and profound energy here. God, Spirit, your angels and guides, divine timing and orchestration. Judgment is a call to stand up and take action one way or the other. And it's right next to the Lovers. And I feel like whatever this choice is on the table in front of you, Aries, it is a very significant and important one. And Judgment usually represents an opportunity, because what does it mean to be judged? It means actually that you're called to answer for yourself. You're called to say, this is what I chose, or this is what I'm choosing and why. You're called to, there's an opportunity here. And I think it's a very significant opportunity. You have two cards here, the Knight of Wands and Judgment, that represent opportunities. And Judgment can often represent a second chance at something. And typically it's a second chance or another chance, for those of you for whom this may represent a second chance to make a choice or a decision in this relationship which may be different than how you normally would do things. Judgment represents that this is something that, regardless of, all right, let me see if I can explain this a different way. There's a sense of finality about Judgment, particularly if it's a second chance or another chance at doing something different, which means that it likely won't come around again, and the result of what you choose will probably affect your life for quite some time to come, if not forever, in a pretty significant way. Not only in the message that you show or send externally to other people, perhaps this other person and other people who, are around this relationship, not only in the message that your decision sends to them, but also in the message that it sends to yourself. And the air of finality means that whatever you choose is probably going to be what's set in place for quite some time to come. So choose wisely. And the implication with Judgment is typically that it's an opportunity in front of you that is being given to you by Spirit, by God, Spirit, your angels and guides. And they typically don't do that unless it's something they want you to take, this decision that needs to be made about this relationship. Now, the fact that the Devil is kind of the overall energy for the first half of January implies that your struggle, because I feel like you guys are showing up as the Page of Swords, even though you're a fire sign, because you're struggling here. And I feel like what you're struggling with is communicating adequately to this other person. And also you're struggling with wanting to deal with this in the way that you normally deal with significant issues or relationship issues, a way that you probably have done it for quite some time but is not healthy for you. And Spirit is giving you the opportunity here to choose a different type of path and start walking a different type of path, perhaps. And I feel like for some of you there is a relationship at stake here, and if you don't take this opportunity, perhaps the second or third opportunity that Spirit is giving you, it may cost you this relationship. Don't shoot the messenger. That's just what I'm getting very strongly for some of you. Now, the fact that the Knight of Wands and Judgment has shown up too can be for some of you that there is a very small and short or very fast moving window of opportunity for this opportunity, meaning, act now. That's interesting. I just had this old commercial thing go through my mind that said, act now, and those old late night infomercials. I don't think this opportunity is going to be around for very long. And I feel like for at least some of you, this opportunity, at least with this person, is not going to come around again. Even if it has before, this is a cycle you've had with this person. I feel like whatever it is that's on the table, I feel like for many of you, it's not going to come around again, and you need to act on it and act on it quickly, at least within the first half of January, or I think you may run the risk, or the risk that may be run is that this relationship is lost, or you guys break up, something of that sort. For some of you, it may mean that around the second week of January or the middle of January that you just decide to jump right in it. Which, again, I'm not in the habit of saying do this and do that, because I'm here to give you the messages that Spirit sends me, and to present you with what each path looks like. But again, I feel like this one, Spirit is really knocking on your door and saying it's right here. And it's up to you as to what you want to do with it. I feel like if you choose not to act, that this opportunity is going to go out the door, and I feel like this person is going to go out the door with it. This almost sounds like a sort of, I hope this isn't coming across as patronizing. If it is, I apologize. I don't mean for it to. But I'm getting just this very distinct sort of strong message that's almost paternal in kind of my general psyche energy. Let's clarify this Devil. What is this? What are you struggling with? What is this struggle about here? Well, we know it's about a choice. Let's see if we can clarify this any further. It's about a choice. Do I do this thing or do I do that thing? Again, I think you're struggling with, I think you're struggling with, heavily struggling. And my heart goes out to you, Aries. It is so difficult to break patterns of behavior because they're linked to a belief system or an ideology we have set in place based on what our past history has been. And I feel like what you're struggling with is not really just the decision itself, but in reverting back to a pattern of relationship decisions or choices, or perhaps even leaving, you know, or avoiding the conflict by just disappearing or going off the grid. And that you're struggling with that because there's something about this particular relationship that is sunk quite deeply with you. This person is obviously someone that you feel quite strongly about. For some of you, and this would be the lesser part of you, this could be you on the other side of this story. It could be the other person who's needing to make the decision. But for many of you, this is primarily for you. So you're really struggling with, do I do something different here? Because something is telling me that maybe it's time for me to. I mean, this is the energy for the first half of January, which is just a short period of time. It's a couple of weeks. So let's see what advice and guidance from Spirit is. What is the higher message from Spirit on how best to navigate through the first half of, I almost said December, the first half of January, brand new year. We want to start this year off right. Higher message. Higher message from Spirit, the Three of Pentacles. This is a card of teamwork, of working together to build something beautiful, solid, stable, lasting. Teamwork, collaboration, compromise, and negotiation. So, I mean, it felt pretty clear to me from Judgment that, you know, this opportunity to make a different choice, to break an old pattern, break an old cycle, is one that Spirit is saying now is the time to actually do this. And again, they're saying this is going to take teamwork with you and this other person, collaboration, compromise, and negotiation, because this is about working together to actually build something beautiful, strong, stable. You don't see it so much in the Three of Pentacles in the Gilded Tarot, which is the deck that I'm using. And other, because this is not a me card, it's a we card. In other tarot decks, you see this person kind of confronting and conferring with other people, working with other people to actually build something like a beautiful cathedral or something of that sort. It's about everybody kind of coming together because they agree on what needs to be accomplished or built, and so they work together to do that. Compromise, negotiation, everybody kind of contributing and collaborating. It's a card of working together to build something and accomplish something beautiful and lasting, and taking pride in that. So Spirit's higher message here is pretty clear, Aries, but as we always say, it's a free will zone. Different paths represent different opportunities, different challenges, different lessons. But this one, Spirit seems to be giving one particular bit of one particular message and one particular piece of advice quite strongly to you. You know, that it's time to break this pattern, this cycle, and do something new in this relationship in order to have something different than perhaps you've had before. So Aries, that is your reading for the first half of January. I hope that it at least brought some clarification or insight to you. Again, if any of you are interested in reaching out for a personal one-on-one reading, particularly if this resonated for you, if any of them do, and you want to take a deeper look at something or for someone else, just click on the description link below for more info and contact details. Feel free to email me directly at Maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. I would be most happy to work with you and set something up. I do readings full-time, 6 days a week, sometimes 7. It's all that I do and what I truly love to do. So I'm pretty diligent with scheduling, working with your schedule in mind to get readings out in as timely a fashion as possible. And I can usually return your initial inquiry with more information the same day or the first 24 hours. So Aries, I will see you all again in a couple of weeks for the January 2020 mid-month readings. Until then, I wish everyone a beautiful and blessed beginning to this new year. And I hope to see you back here again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.